Hey everyone, welcome back to the late show about Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners. I'm your host, Sebastian. So I hope you guys are doing great. Today was actually a pretty good day, even though it was a short day for the miners and Bitcoin, right? Well, Bitcoin was trading the whole time, but the miners were only trading till like 1 p.m. Eastern time. So it was a shorter day for them. Nonetheless, they did really, really good today. I had a really nice improvement in my portfolio, which I love seeing. I'm sure you guys love seeing that as well. But here's what we got. We have today, obviously, what happened with Bitcoin miners as well. We have news from Iren. They bought some more GPUs, Blackwells as well. We'll talk about that, give you my thoughts on it. Riot also provided their June update. We'll talk about that. It's actually pretty good, all things considered. And then we have news from Standard Chartered Bank that Bitcoin's going to 200,000 and the cycles are over with. So we'll get into that as well. We have a poll running right now asking you guys if you guys think Bitcoin will go to 200,000 by the end of the year. 78% of you guys are saying right now that you believe that it will. So we'll see. We'll talk about it. And then we'll get into Q&A as well at the end of it. We'll also take a look at the miners' latest short data that we have on it. So that's coming up as well. All right, but we got to go through this all the time here. Not financial advice for intimate only. Please, please, please do your own research as always. Full disclosure below that. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button. Helps me out tremendously. And subscribe too. All right, let's take a look at what's going on here with the markets and Bitcoin and everything else right now as it is. And here we go. So you guys are seeing this. So Bitcoin was actually, it was up today. It didn't do great, but it did okay. We were up 0.68%. We closed at 109,628 overall, pretty good. We at least stayed above the 50-day simple moving average. I like seeing that. We're down a little bit on the new day here for Friday. As you guys know, tomorrow the markets are closed, so miners are not going to be trading. Bitcoin's going to be trading because Bitcoin trades 24/7, doesn't care whether it's a holiday or not. It is just going to continue to trade. So tomorrow we won't do a show probably because it's 4th of July. So I hope you guys have a great 4th of July weekend. We'll get back into things on Sunday. But here's what we got so far. So Bitcoin's doing pretty good right now as it is. Miners had a pretty good day today. It wasn't as great as we've seen before, but they pulled back a little bit towards the end of the day. I think it was just some profit taking there that was happening on it. So not a big deal there, right? They've had a fantastic last 2 weeks were just great for them for the most part, maybe even going back a little bit further for some of these guys. But Bitfarms stayed above the dollar here, so it was up just a little bit here, 0.99. It was up a little higher as well during the day, and then it came back down. But that one's at least above a dollar, so that's good there. BitDeer was up a little bit as well, 5.28%. Cypher was up 6.51% after coming back down from hitting, what did it hit today? It hit a high today of $6.45 and then closed at $6.05. So like I said, a lot of these guys did pull back here. Cleanspark pretty much all day was in the red for the most part. I guess profit taking was happening there a little bit. It had a nice run up there yesterday, so I think that was just the case with it, but it was down 1.84%. CORZ was up a little bit more here, 2.51%. Still no news on that one as far as being a buyout for CoreWeave. Hive was up as well, 2.67%. Came down a little bit from the high that it reached here. HUD 8 was up 3.89%. Iren was up 7.41%. It got to $18.54. I was looking at that, I was like, man, that's some good number there. And then it came way back down. So it definitely had a nice day today. I think it had above a 10% gain today. Let's see here, from the bottom to the top, it had 17% basically, and then it came back down, closed at 7.41 up. So pretty good there. I think more so on this one, this was a lot of profit taking. People that got into it before, right at these levels here, right around $15 or so, 15 to even 15.88. Those were probably selling over here. They're just like, I'm out of the miners. I'm done with them, which is the wrong thing to think about right now because this is the time when the miners usually pump here, and this is the time that you're going to make a lot of the gains there. But people, can't stand the pain a lot of times when they do go down quite a bit, and they should be buying at that point instead of selling. But it is what it is, right? So we probably had some sellers there from people that got into it between these ranges over here. Mara was down a little bit here, 0.79% on the day. It was up higher as well to 18.22, came back down. Riot was down just a little bit as well, 0.25% after being up to $12.73. And then Wolf was up today 4.73% after being up higher as well. So we're kind of seeing the same thing. MicroStrategy was up just a little bit. Galaxy was down here. This one is Exodus Movement was up 11% today. That was nice here. MetaPlanet was actually up a little bit, 0.38%. Semler was up 2.3%. What else do we have here? Some of the smaller miners were up quite nicely today, some of them at least. DigiPower was up 14.55%. BitDigital continuing a nice little rally back up here to 11.79%. So that was a good day for that one. Argo was down another 14% today. It's coming back down to from where it bounced. Not sure what happened there. Chem was up nicely today, 8.8%. That one's going back up above the 50-day simple moving average there, which looks good. And then minor ETFs were in the positive as well. BitQ being up 1.22%, BKCH being up 1.81%, and DAP being up 0.91%, and WGMI was up 3.5%. So love seeing that. Obviously, it was a good day in the market for the miners and all you guys that have been, and gals that have been patiently waiting for this to happen to us. It's finally happening, I think. And the next 6 months could be very, very, very good for us, given that Bitcoin goes up in price to possibly close to 200,000. Right, so we'll get into that story here shortly. But here's what we got on Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin's up 2.12% on July so far. So it's not too bad, not too great, but it's somewhere in the middle. We're at least in the green. Like seeing that. Bitcoin inflows here from the ETFs. We had a great day yesterday, 407 million being bought in. Surprisingly, BlackRock is not buying in here the last 2 days, or it's not being reported at least on that one. So a little surprised by that because, I mean, they've been buying in all the time here. So we'll see what they come in at today. Today, I mean, we have everybody else buying in, 373 excuse me, billion being bought in. Today as it is, we'll see what BlackRock, if they bought in or if that's not being reported anymore. Who knows? All right, let's get into Bitcoin here. Can Bitcoin get to 200,000 here by the end of the year? We're at 109,000 right now as it is. And the Standard Chartered Bank believes that Bitcoin will hit 135,000 by the end of Q3 and break 200,000 by end of year here. So here's what they're basically, or this is more or less a quick blurb about it. Bitcoin H2 2025 outlook, further upside, right? They're saying the upside is due to ETF inflows and corporate treasury buying of BTC are set to exceed the Q2 levels, 245,000 BTC in Q3 and Q4, okay? Potentially Q3 drivers include Fed Chair Powell's early replacement and passage of the U.S. stablecoin bill. And then if we also get rate cuts as well in there, I think that's going to bode well. And then in Q4, we expect the market to brush off concerns about the BTC halving cycle. We continue to see BTC rising to around 135,000 by Q3 and 200,000 by the end of Q4 here. So I've been talking about this cycle being completely different, and it is completely different, at least right now. We'll see if it's going to be a much more extended cycle than we have ever seen in the past year, with Bitcoin going up just more and more because of all this adoption that we have here. They continue on here. Second half top side to show that Bitcoin halving cycle is dead. We expect Bitcoin to print new all-time highs in second half, buoyed by growing ETF and corporate treasury flows, as well as U.S. policy and regulatory developments. Thanks to increased investor flows, we believe BTC has moved beyond the previous dynamic whereby prices fell by 18 months after the halving, which would have led to price declines in September and October. And I think the same thing here. Excuse me. I'm of the same belief here, right? With everything that's happening here with, possibly the United States also buying it here later on this year. You have all these ETFs buying it. You have all these corporate entities that are becoming Bitcoin treasuries, all of them buying it. Just regular companies still buying, putting it on their balance sheet as well. All of these are pointing to where those coins that are being bought up are not going to be sold off as quickly, potentially. Eventually, they will be sold off, and companies need the money or something like that, or they've had a nice profit made on it. It will be sold off, but I don't think this is the time yet. I think this is still, a lot of these guys are buying right now at 100,000 or something like that, right? So we could definitely see it going up to 200,000 and beyond before they start selling potentially, or they're just going to keep it on the balance sheet there and have a nice nest egg, right? Especially if they believe that Bitcoin's going to go up to $1 million potentially in the next couple of years. So I love seeing this, and this kind of goes with my own thinking as well. But you guys let me know what you guys think on this. All right, so there's that. Let's get into the news stories that we do have here on the miners here. So Iren expands AI cloud with 2,400 NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs. The new B200 and B300 fleet lifts total to 4,300 GPUs, unlocking next generation training and inference at scale here. So today they announced the purchase of 2,400 next generation NVIDIA Blackwells B200, B300 for $130 million, including fit out costs here. So we have a footnote here. Number one, what does that mean for us? This includes servers, storage, labor, and ancillary equipment such as InfiniBand, racks, and cabling. So that's not too bad there, but that's definitely a hefty price tag right there. And then they didn't talk about how much revenue they're going to be generating from it. I'd love to see those numbers. They were providing those numbers a little bit last year when they first started talking about having GPUs being installed and things like that, what they're generating on that, and the ROI time frame on it as well. Love to see those kind of numbers, and maybe we'll get those in the quarterly results here. Continuing on here. The purchase is fully funded from existing cash. However, Iren is also evaluating a range of financing alternatives to support its AI cloud services growth. Right? Hopefully, it's less on the dilution side of things, going through ATMs, and more so on maybe convertible notes, or even loans that are backed, loans that are project specific, basically. But we'll see. The order of 1,300 B200 and 1,100 B300 GPUs will be installed over the coming months at Iren's Prince George, British Columbia campus, with any displaced mining hardware expected to be redistributed to other sites here. Okay, so that's going to be happening there. Combined with the existing 1.9 thousand Hopper GPUs, this expansion increases Iren's fleet to approximately 4.3 thousand. NVIDIA GPUs with 50 megawatts of dedicated power, Prince George can ultimately host more than 20,000 Blackwell GPUs, providing a clear runway for phased growth in that part. So it's pretty exciting. Like I said, I'd love to see some numbers as far as what is the expected revenue on this and ROI potentially. But like I said, maybe we'll get in the quarterly results here. Continuing on here. The Blackwell architecture delivers significant advancements in performance and efficiency, positioning Iren among the first cloud providers to offer next-generation compute in supply-constrained market. Observed demand from AI native enterprise, cloud operators, and hyperscalers continue to increase as training and inference workloads grow. And I agree with that. I do believe that that is increasing here. It's amazing what you can do with AI right now. And if you play around with any of the AIs that are out there, whether it's Grok, Google's Gemini, ChatGPT, or whatever you're using out there, this stuff is getting better and better all the time, and it is just mind-blowing what it can do right now. And there's going to be only growing demand for it continuing on here. All right, Iren expects the deployment to deliver attractive risk-adjusted returns on a standalone basis while simultaneously supporting active discussions across its AI data center businesses. Iren's vertically integrated platform, underpinned by 2,910 megawatts of grid-connected power, is uniquely positioned to deliver powered shells, built-to-suit, turnkey co-locations, and fully managed cloud services, providing customers with flexible end-to-end solutions across the AI infrastructure stack, right? So depending on what they want to go with, they got all this optionality to go with here. So there's also different pricing involved in that, right? Depending which one you go with, you could pay less or you could pay more. But it does obviously give them optionality to go in whichever way they want to. And it does open up the doors more for Iren to possibly get a deal as well. So what kind of deal we'll get, we don't know. But obviously they're being priced on, at least their price performance for the last 2-3 weeks or so, seems to indicate that there might be something happening in the background where somebody's front-running what's going to be announced eventually here, potentially. All right? That's just kind of my hypothesis as far as why Iren is running right now. But we'll see. All right, so this is good news. But again, love to see some more details. So Iren, if you could, next time, provide a little bit more details as far as expectations on revenue and return on investment. All right, so that's it for Iren here. Let's get it to Riot really quick. Riot's update is pretty short and sweet here. They just came out with the numbers, and there you have it with a little quote from, I believe, Jason Les as well. All right, so here's what we got. Bitcoin produced here for the month was 450, down from the 514 that they were in May here. So that's not good, right? So they did curtail a little bit there. We'll take a look at how much they curtailed. Bitcoin held increased as well a little bit here. They're at 19,273. That increased from the 19,225 that they had there. Bitcoin sold was 397. So they sold less than they produced, which is good. And then going down here, deployed hash rate increased a little bit here to 35.5 exahash from 35.4. Power credits, this is where it kind of makes up for that curtailment there. Whenever we see these types of numbers, these are good. So power credits was 3.8 million compared to 0.6 million. And demand response credits was 1.8 million instead of 1.7 million, for a total of about 5.6 million, right? Right here, divided by Bitcoin at 100,000 roughly, and you get 56 Bitcoin being added to it. So for that, this makes sense, right? Whenever they do this and they actually mine possibly more Bitcoin, if you use the Bitcoin equivalents here, that's nice to see. But when you see months where power credits are not great, but they mined actually less, well, that's not good, right? At least in my terms, that's not being efficient, but they're still getting better power rates and things like that because of it. So this actually turned out to be pretty good for them in the long run here. Down here, Riot mined 450 Bitcoin in June, which also represented the start of ERCOT's 4 coincident peak 4CP program. said Jason Les, CEO of Riot. Riot's power strategy, which includes economic curtailment and voluntary participation in the 4CP and other demand response programs, significantly contribute to grid stability while enhancing Riot's competitive positioning. I agree, right? That's the whole selling pitch to grid operators for having Bitcoin operators be on their grid is they can curtail, they can shut down when others might not be able to, and especially when there's a huge load coming up because of weather, heat, things like that. You need more cooling and everything else for everybody else. So miners do provide a great service in that regard as well. All right, so let's take a look at the numbers that I do have here for Riot here really quick. Pop that one up. Okay. So Riot, as of last reported, was 357 million shares outstanding. Stock price as of today was $12.17. That gives them a market cap of $4.3 billion right now as it is. Their performance over the last 12 weeks has been pretty good, right? They were up 10% from last week. From 4 weeks, they were up 7.1%. From 8 weeks ago, they were up 24%. From 12 weeks, they were up 49%. So pretty good there. Current hash rate, 35.5 exahash. Future hash rate, I'm at 34.4. I'm not sure where they're going to end up at. I think they said somewhere between 35 and 40 exahash is where they're going to get to. We'll see where they actually end up at, and they're pausing that and focusing on HPC-AI. Now, their Bitcoin HODL is 19,273. That's valued at $2,114 million. So that's 48.64% of their market cap there, and each share has about $5.92 of HODL in it. Bitcoin, like we talked about, came down here a little bit for the month of June here, but again, the power credits helped out there, so it was pretty much a little bit of a slight increase if you look at that as well. Revenue here was down to 47.62 from 53, so that's still not too bad there. HODL continues to increase, which is nice. They only installed about 100 petahash extra of miners here for the month of June, got them to 35.5. They sold, by my numbers, 402. They reported selling, what was it, 397. So, I mean, right, rounding error, clerical error, whatever. Just the way the things worked out there, so pretty close on that. BTC per exahash efficiency at 12.68 is actually pretty good. I think it's better than Cypher, where Cypher was at, and Mara has reported so far as well. So they're doing better than that. Going down here, institutions. Institutions did increase here a little bit to 537. Shares also went up a little bit here to 219.5 million. And percentage owned by institutions is now 62.22%. We still have 9 strong buy ratings, 6 buy ratings, 1 hold rating. 0 underperforms, 0 sells. Price targets stayed the same for the high at 22. The average went up to 16 now, and the low went up to $11. So those are looking pretty good, much better than they were. Going down here as far as how many days were they mining for, roughly? They were mining for about 24 and a half days, roughly, during June here, which got us to the 47,672,000 based on the Bitcoin average price and the amount that they mined, okay? So that's looking not too bad there. That's actually pretty good, all things considered. And based on that revenue times 12 months, I have them between $12.01 and $18. They're at $12.17. They're definitely at the lower end of things. I do believe they should be valued much higher than where they are right now. And especially if they get any kind of HPC-AI deal, that's going to push them up even higher potentially from there. Okay, what else do we have here? That is it. For them, it's just continue to operate as best as they can and with much uptime as possible. And, we'll see if this pivot to HPC-AI is going to be a good one for them or if it was all for naught. But hopefully it'll be for good. All right. That is it on that one. Let's take a look at the short data on these guys here. And actually, we might actually look at the enterprise value metrics of these guys here right now as well, because I think that's actually before it is. All right. Enterprise metrics. We talked about this, or somebody asked about it yesterday. So we're going to cover it really quick here as far as where are the miners right now based on enterprise value. So we look at enterprise value per exahash. Enterprise value equals market cap plus debt minus HODL, or minus cash minus HODL. Right, I'm taking out HODL here. And it as well, based on current hash rate, we have Hive being valued at only 35 million per exahash. Marathon with 55 million, Cleanspark with 56, Riot at 75, Iren with 77, Cypher at 131 million, BitDeer 199 million, and CORZ 361 million. Right, CORZ being valued more on their HPC-AI with CoreWeave there than anything else. So we can kind of cross this one off, I think, but otherwise it would be just way overvalued here. After that, we got BitDeer here. BitDeer, I also believe, is kind of starting to look a little overvalued here a little bit, at least on current hash rate. Future hash rate growth is going to be much better there for them, right? And then you can see the difference here on future hash rate growth, where they're valued at that point. So when we look at that, we can see Hive for future hash rate growth is valued at 23 million per exahash, Marathon at 48 million. Cleanspark at 48 million, Marathon at 55 million here. Marathon said they're getting to 75 exahash, so I should probably up them a little bit more from where they are right now. That will lower their number there. BitDeer at 66 million, Iren at 77 million still here, Riot at 77 million as well, and Cypher 145 million, right? So I think Cypher's being valued more on their HPCI potential than their Bitcoin mining, but their Bitcoin mining is going to be growing here. And you got Core at 216 million for future hash rate growth on that. And then when you look at enterprise per BTC mined here, well, we don't have the latest data on the BTC mined for June yet, so we can't really look at that. But here's the enterprise value of these guys here. Core has 6.5 million enterprise value right now as it is. Iren 3.8, Marathon 3.2, Cleanspark 2.7, BitDeer 2.7, Riot roughly 2.6, Cypher 2.2, and Hive at 363 million as it is right now on that one. All right, so there's the enterprise metrics on these guys here. Going over to shorted. All right, so this is the latest that I have as of 6/13, I think, or 6/14 when it was reported here. So current number of shares shorted, based on number of shares, Marathon is the most shorted, share-wise at least, 87.5 million, followed by Riot at 82.9 roughly, then Cleanspark at 72.2, then you got Core at 46, Cypher at 42 roughly, Iren at 24, and BitDeer at 23, and Hive at 11.6. Okay. Now, as far as their average float, based on that, well, then BitDeer right now is the most shorted here at 29.56%, followed by Cleanspark at 26.46, Marathon at 25.5 roughly, Riot at 25 as well, Cypher at 18.6, Core at 18, Iren at 10.5%, and Hive at 6.4 on that one. Number of shares shorted changed from last time. Cypher is, let me see here. Did I update my numbers here? No, I forgot to do that. I knew I was forgetting something. Something seemed to be too fast for me, so let me update this really quick on this one. Update my formulas here. This is the previous now, and then this is the current, so that'll be up to 50. All right, so let's see here. How does that change on things for us, if at all? Does it change on things a little bit? Okay, so that does change the number of shares shorted from last time, and here's what we got. So Marathon had an increase of 9.3 million shares. Iren had an increase of 4.7. Cleanspark was down 2.4 million from last time. So that's like 2 weeks from when this was reported. Riot was up 1.5. BitDeer was down 1.2. Core was up just a little bit, 0.2 million. Hive was down 3.27, and Cypher was up 2.79 on that one as it is. And then percentage from last time, we got Iren going up 19%, Marathon up 10%. And the number of shares shorted, Cleanspark being down 3%, Riot being up 1.8, BitDeer down 5.1, Core up just a little bit, 0.48, Hive down 28%, so Hive had a pretty sizable decrease there, and Cypher was up 6.6% from last time on that one. And then when we look at the price change percentage from 12 weeks ago on these guys here, Iren's up 148%, Core's up 135%, Cypher 76%, Riot up 49, Cleanspark 42, BitDeer 39%, Hive 21, and Marathon 20% as it is. And here is their overall performance as far as being shorted wise, right? The historical data on the shorts here. BitDeer is coming down here. We were seeing Cypher going up. Cleanspark's coming down, which is good. And then we got Core coming down as well. Kind of going up a little bit here in the last month. The last report, Hive has come down here. Iren's going up. Marathon is going up as well. This is pretty close. This is the highest that they've been shorted here recently. So maybe that's why the stock's not doing that well. It's being shorted quite a bit here. And then Riot's gone up a little bit here as well. All right. That is it. Let's get into the Q&A side of things here. And as always, spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. Link for that is down in the description. A couple bucks a month. You guys help support what I do. And you get access to our private Discord server as well. All right, that is it. Let's get into Q&A. See what you guys have to say and call it a day. We'll have a nice weekend coming up here, so let's enjoy it here. All right. As always, if you guys could preface your questions with a question mark or a Q, I'd appreciate it. And I'm going to scroll up and work my way down as always. Right now, based on the responses that we're getting to the poll here, we are at 53% of you believe that Bitcoin will reach at least 200,000 by the end of the year. And it's still half, a little bit more than half, so still not too bad there. All right, what do we got here? Let's see. Wes Clark says, I think I'm finally in the green on all my miners stocks except Hive. Feeling much better now. That's awesome to hear. Let's see. Tej says, I swear the China deadline for tariffs is 4th of July, so if trade So if a trade happened, will be down, I'm guessing. Neville says, let's go Iren. Kevin's got a question here. Question, is now the time to buy Bitfarms considering Riot sold a lot recently and yet Bitfarms was up big recently? Sell pressure versus how much Bitfarms has been undervalued for so long, maybe a breaking point. Yeah, I mean, we're way undervalued as it is. So, and we still have Riot with, what is it now, 60 some odd million shares left to sell. Roughly, they still own 12.3% of the company there. So they still have quite a bit of selling to do. Right, maybe Riot kind of put a pause on this selling a little bit for the last couple of days, just to let the stock run. I don't know, right? I don't have the insights on that, but that would be the smart thing to move. Everything else is running. Let that one run as well. You can sell it at a higher price later on, right? So as far as buying it, that's going to be up to you whether you think it's a good idea right now. But I do think it is way undervalued where it is right now. But that sell pressure could bring it down some more. But I'm hoping that they keep it at least above $1 for a while at least. We'll see. All right. Hello Bomb says, or Halo Bomb, sold all my Riot in the green, might rotate into Iren now. Would you expect a pullback shortly? I think so. Based on the chart, I think it is getting a little overextended there. I think a pullback would be healthy at least a little bit, going back down to maybe, $14 or something like that. Might be healthy, but we'll see. But it could run for a little bit longer here, and then go back up. It could go up to like some $20 or so. And then come back down to like 16 possibly, right? Have a little correction there. I wouldn't say that's out of the question there. All right, Private's got a question here. When will Cleanspark shareholders benefit from their strategy of holding a lot of BTC? Companies that go the other route of HPCI seem to benefit. So when will we see benefit of BTC HODL? When Bitcoin price goes up, I believe. It's not only Cleanspark that you're seeing it with also, you're also seeing it with Marathon as well. Right, they have a huge HODL position there, not really being valued on it. Riot to a certain extent as well. They have a huge position there, and that's what 40 some odd % of their market cap is their HODL position right now as it is. But I think with Bitcoin going up in value, that will help out. All right, JR's got a question here. Do you think Cleanspark is underperforming or undervalued? If so, why do you think it's doing poorly compared to historical performance, market darling, and current BTC upswing? Right now, you have the HPCI, which is taking a lot of the steam out of pure play miners. Right, so any company that has HPCI potential or is going towards that way is doing much better than the regular pure play miners. But I think as Bitcoin price goes up, that profitability that's going to go to those guys as Bitcoin price does go up, I think we'll re-rate them at that point. And we're seeing Cleanspark is doing actually pretty good here recently, right? And also no further dilution possibly later on this year. So that's a good thing. Getting to possibly 60 exahash plus also is a good thing. And their HODL still will, it's all good things here. It's just a matter of time, I think. We may see some rotation happening from some of these big guys that have been running up here right now, like Iren, Cypher, CORZ as well. And we might see a rotation happening into some of the pure play miners as Bitcoin goes up. That could also be something that you might see. All right, Craig's got a question here. Currently up Cleanspark 42%, Iren 119%, Wolf 83%. Now the anchor Bitfarms down 60% average price 258. Thinking of selling 25 to 50 and move it into Cleanspark or Iren. Maybe open position in Hive. Thoughts? You're definitely you bought a much higher price on Bitfarms. I would probably rotate, but that's your call there, right? I'm up on Cleanspark 125% right now. And on Iren, I'm up 107%. So I'm pretty close to where you are, at least with Iren. Cleanspark, I have a much lower number than you do. But I don't have TeraWolf there. But Bitfarms, if you're down 60% on it, probably not a bad move to move it into the ones that are moving up. But just be careful with Iren because it is kind of high already and might have a little pullback. So just something to think about there. All right, Halo Bomb. All the miners seem overbought on the short term. I think we should expect a pullback consolidation for some time before another move up. I think they have, I wouldn't say all the miners, right? There's a couple miners that we can look at here. Let's just go through them here really quick. So here's Bitfarms, not that one. This is what I wanted. Bitfarms here, the RSI on the daily is still low, right? Below 70% or 70 mark there. BitDeer, same thing, below 70. You got Cypher above 70. It's at right now about 79 or so. So that one's getting overextended here a little bit. 4-hour time frame, when we look at that, when it loads on us, that's looking a little hot there as well. 1 hour, definitely, right? But it can still run a little bit longer in that range there before it does pull back. Cleanspark here, this is on the 1 hour. It's looking a little hot there. On the 4 hour, getting a little hot. On the daily, it's just getting to the 70 mark there. So it could still run up a little bit more before it does come back down. Excuse me. CORZ, obviously, with the huge move that it had here last week, that one's probably due for a little bit of pullback. But if it gets sold to CoreWeave, it could stay up at these levels or even go higher depending on what the sale price is per share. Hive is getting close, right? It's at the 70 mark here on the daily. If you look at it on the 4-hour chart, it's a little, getting extended there on the 1 hour chart as well. So we could still go up a little bit here on the daily before we come down. Hut 8, getting close to the 70 mark as well. Iren, definitely up there, right? So that one, like I said, could use a little pullback here. And that's maybe what we saw here a little bit today, but that's not enough here, right? We could come back down a little bit more to around $14 or something like that. Mara still has a ways to go. Riot, over 70, so getting there as well. And then Wolf here, getting to 70, pretty close to that. So we still have quite a few of these guys that could possibly run as well, right? I don't think that that's out of the question for some of these guys here, but it'll depend on what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin corrects or something like that in the next couple of days. We could definitely see the miners being down on Monday, right? And that might be the little correction that we see there. So something always to think about on it, because I have seen it where, just look at Iren here, for example. Iren right now, I mean, you can see it's been over 70 here since basically the beginning or the end of June here, June 24th, and it's still continuing to run up here. And you can look at also the 4-hour chart here, where it's, the 4-hour chart has been above 70, coming back down here for a little bit, but then still continuing to go up here, right? This is going back to May even. So you can see how that can play out. And I've seen that also play out sometimes. And this is kind of where I got wrecked during 2017, 2018 with Bitcoin. I would see that the RSI is getting, kind of high up there. I'm like, okay, time to take some profits. And lo and behold, the dang thing went up even more. Right? So then I ended up buying back in higher, and then it would finally correct on me and go down, and I would sell. And it was a learning experience. You got to learn these things, sometimes the hard way, unfortunately. All right, let's go back here to the question mark. Let's see. Halo Bomb says maybe a 10% pullback expected. I would say on some of these guys, yeah, we could definitely see that. All right. Can Bit Digital do $100? Same like SBIT and BMNR. Oh gosh, if you're looking at Bit Digital now, right, with the changes that they're doing there, that stock is just going to be basically a Ethereum treasury company, more or less, right? No Bitcoin mining in there. They're spinning off the wide fiber into its own separate company there. I don't know if it could go to $100. It will highly depend on where Ethereum goes. Okay. All right, Brad's got a question here. When do you think things will start to become fairly valued and really take off and reach 20s and then hit 30s as BTC continues towards, we're kind of seeing that happening already a little bit, right? Cleanspark has had a pretty good run here recently. They bottomed out basically, this year it hasn't performed that bad overall. It was down less than a lot of the other miners were for the year when they bottomed out in early April, right? Cleanspark wasn't down that much, and it's just trying to catch back up a little bit here. But it's at $12 now. I think this quarter we should get close to $20, if not even a little higher, as long as Bitcoin gets to maybe 135,000, something like that, and then continue onwards after that. That's just kind of my thoughts on it right now. Craig Bird says, thanks, Seb. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming in here. Daryl Gardner, thank you so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Definitely helps out. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, Dan's got a question here. Past cycles, BTC always hit its top 152 week afterwards, the ultimate low. This brings us in October, all the noise, but I see things repeating once again. This will be October 2025. So you think that the cycle is going to continue the way it has in the past, right? Bitcoin about 18 months or so after the halving event goes into correction, goes into bear market. I don't think that's going to be the case. And the reason I don't think that's going to be the case is because of all the adoption we're seeing here. Bitcoin has acted completely different this cycle already as it is. You had a new 52-week high or a new high in Bitcoin before the halving event. That's never happened before. And then you're seeing these longer extended durations of corrections on Bitcoin where last cycle you would see these corrections happening for a couple of days to a week or two at most, and then Bitcoin would go up another 30, 40%, 50%, whatever it was, and then correct 30% in a couple of days. We're seeing this play out way differently, at least right now. So based on those couple of things and probably more, that's why I think we won't see that. Halo Bomb, yeah, that RSI and MACD on the 4 hour seems like we need to cool off and move up again. Yeah, I would agree with you, right? That's one of these things. Yeah, absolutely. Things can't run up all the time. You need a little bit of a breather, you need a little bit of pullback, make things healthier, more or less. And then we go back up. So I do expect that happening here. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but eventually it will happen on some of these guys here. But people are going to be taking profits, especially as they go up even more. Depending when people bought in, they could be up already, like I'm up 100% on Iren. They could be looking at it going, that's good enough for me. So we shall see. All right, let's see. Do I have anything else? Any other questions? Doesn't look like it. All right. The poll right now is 50-50 on Bitcoin getting to 200,000. So that's kind of interesting. I think there's a high chance that we do get pretty close to that. I don't know if we'll exactly get 200,000, but the third quarter here will be telling as far as what we do in the fourth quarter, I believe, right? As long as Bitcoin does well in July and in August, which historically it has done, especially in these bull runs after the halving events, that will shape us for possibly correction in September. And then, will we get a nice rip going forward into possibly October, November, and then we'll see where December comes in as that one. All right. Story Hunter, thoughts on Bit Digital? So they're going for the Ethereum treasury strategy, basically. I'm not a big fan of Ethereum. I mean, I own some Ethereum, but as far as a company buying it to be a treasury or holding Ethereum, I mean, we've seen other stocks, do very well here recently because of Tom Lee getting on the board of one of them and pumping it on, was it Fox News or CNBC? I can't remember. But that one went up like 300%, right? I think it's more of the name recognition than anything else on that. And Bit Digital is doing pretty good here recently. I could be wrong on this. And Ethereum does very well, and so do these stocks here. I just don't know. But yeah, that's my take on it. I do like the fact that there's splitting up the company, right, for their white fiber, having that separately. And Bitcoin, I kind of talked about that last year. I thought they were going to get rid of Bitcoin mining this coming year. And sure enough, that played out that way. The writing was kind of on the wall there a little bit as far as that and the direction they're going and everything else on it. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Craig's hit the like button. Sub deserves at least that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. Muhammad says alt season when Ethereum will go to all-time high. Will we get an alt season? I don't know. Right? Bitcoin's taking dominance on all that stuff right now. All right. Daniel's got a question. Do you want to start covering the Ethereum-based companies, SBET, BTBT, for the fun of it? Huge upside. These will fly big time. I mean, we could definitely keep an eye on them, see how they're doing. I don't know how much we can cover there other than how much Ethereum they're holding right now. But yeah, I mean, we can. If you guys are up for it, you guys want me to track it or something like that, let me know the list of companies you want me to include in the daily updates as far as how they're doing, stock-wise and everything else. We can do that. It's not a big deal, right? It's going to take us, a couple minutes to go through that? Yeah, that's fine. All right, I think we're done. I don't see anything else popping up here on the question mark. Daryl, sorry. Thank you again for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Tomorrow, like I said, is Friday. No trading on the miners tomorrow. Bitcoin's going to continue to trade. So with tomorrow being 4th of July, I hope you guys have a safe and happy 4th of July. Right? Don't blow your fingers off with fireworks tomorrow. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. So really appreciate you guys coming in as always. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I'll see you guys on Sunday. Until then, bye.